And thank you for listening to WXOX 97.1 FM in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Artist Talk with LVA. And for this part of the show, I'm talking to Carlos Gamez de Francisco. He was born in post-revolutionary Cuba in 1987 to a Cuban-Spanish mother and a Cuban-American father. He grew up in Cuba, was educated in an academic style heavily influenced by the Russian Academy. At age 5, he determined with absolute certainty that he would be an artist. By the time he was 15, Gamez de Francisco was diligently painting 8 hours a day, every day. Today, he often spends 15 hours a day painting and feels very blessed to do what I love, in his words. He lived for many years in Louisville, and during that time really grew and became a great success. He's connected with various different galleries in Kentucky and Ohio, and now he's living down in Florida. And he is included in the Metro Hall exhibit that LVA has up right now called Reflections on 12 Years. It's up right now. It's going to run through December. There will be a reception for the artist, an invitation reception for the artist on June the 13th. And if you're a friend of Carlos, you may be in Louisville, you may be hearing from him to be invited there. Carlos, how you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm good too. So let's get right down to it. You've been, where are you in Florida exactly? Are you around Miami?
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers, okay.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. Are you going to keep moving around the country and just like conquering different states?
Well, no. So I made a vision board about 3 years ago when COVID started, and one of the things in my vision board is that I wanted a house with white walls, big glass windows, and a lot of lighting and high ceilings close to the ocean.
Florida.
And then I put it in my in images, and then I print it, and I look at that every day. And one day it happened. I saw when I bought the house, I did it online. I didn't see the house. I signed the papers, and I came and saw it after I bought it, because it was the way I saw the house. Everything was in my mindset. I already conceived it, so I didn't have any doubt that this was the house.
All right, great. Well, it's so exciting to have you in Metro Hall, and we, usually these exhibits are about it, but twice a year, and this exhibit is a little bit of a comeback because COVID really wreaked havoc with these kinds of schedules. But this exhibit, there's two reasons why I asked you as the curator. One is I know that Mayor Fisher has collected your work, and so I thought you would be a good choice. And we hadn't done you yet in Metro Hall. I don't know why that was true, but also because one of the things that the mayor's office wanted to express was about the ideas of economic development during his time in office. And I think both you and Ava have been great. Ava Persh, who's also in the show, have been great examples of artists whose careers really flourished and grew during their time in Louisville. So what can you tell me about your experience in Louisville and what it did for you as an artist?
Well, when I came from Cuba, I came directly to Louisville with, I think I told you the story before, but I came with only $650. Those were my life savings. And I spent it all the money one day, 600 in art supplies, 15 a pair of shoes, like Forrest Gump shoes. And I remember I was in downtown and I was walking and I saw a sign with Muhammad Ali's face, and it says Louisville, the city of opportunities. And I love it. And I said, okay, so this is a good sign. And then I started learning the language. And after 4 months, I had my first solo exhibition at Pyro Gallery, and I sold out the show. I exhibited 13 pieces and I sold 14 pieces. And then I said, okay, I could do this for the rest of my life. So I'm blessed that I'm able to continue my career in the States. And I noticed that Louisville has a big art community, even when it's a small city compared to New York or Chicago. But I noticed there are many people who support art. There are like many art collectors, and they appreciate art, and they know how difficult could be an art career, because artists, sometimes we're so romantic and we love so much what the passion that we have for art that we forget the business part. So I noticed when I came to the States that I have to learn the business part. So being an artist is 50% the creative part and 50% business. And you have to do the work that we don't like inventory or shipping and then framing or all the office job where you have to keep a track of everything. So everything started working, and I learned by mistakes. I was learning if I did something wrong. I remember the first time I contacted a gallery was by email, but I couldn't communicate by phone. At the moment, I didn't know how to express myself. So they called me and I couldn't answer the phone call. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand the language. And then I hang off the phone and I said, this will never happen to me again. So I learned 100 words per day. And that was my goal for 3 months. And when I had about 100 words per 30 days a month, that was like 3,000 words. And after you know more than 5,000 words, then you're able to communicate at least with the basics in a language. So that helped me a lot. And also being an artist, you have to learn communication skills. It's not only about the language, it's about how to express, because I think it's easier for an artist to express yourself on a canvas. But when you have to tell someone what is the painting about, you don't find the right words. And I have to learn also how to express myself with words. So Louisville is still the city where I have my biggest collectors, and I work now with 30 galleries in all the United States and Europe. And Louisville is I'm very connected. I still have my family there, so I go like every 2 months or like every 3 months. So yes, I believe in Louisville is a nice place to be able to make a living as an artist. But the other thing that people don't understand is that this is also, when you're an artist, you're an entrepreneur. So you need to work hard to make your business success. So if you don't spend the hours working, then you won't get the results. It's like someone that opened a grocery store. If they only work 2 hours a day, they won't make a living. So they need to work 15, 16 hours a day to be able to succeed. And then it's because it's a business, you need to grow. Once that you have a gallery and you notice that you're producing more work, then you need to find a second gallery and then a third one. And that's how, like in the last 3 years, I've been trying to expand the business. So every time that I make a sale, instead of spend it, I invest it, and I try to move in many directions, and then send paintings to different states and see how it goes. And not every time is successful, but when it's a failure, just see it as experience, and then learn from the mistake, and then don't make the mistake again. So that works everywhere. But then I think Louisville is very special because of the people. They understand art and they love it.
Well, I don't want to ask you specifically about a little bit about the work that's in this exhibit. Particularly, there were 2 pieces that you had. They were available through Wheelhouse Art, one of the galleries you're represented by here in Louisville, and there were these 2 paintings. Because when I was reading through your biography on your website, you talk about that at one point you started painting horses, but these are some unusual horse paintings. They're very, very funny, very whimsical, in which the horse head sort of gets attached to a human body. And I don't know if you specifically meant this, but they sort of look like they're at the Derby. They look like they're kind of dressed up. I don't know if that was your intention. Well, tell me a little bit about, like, when you're doing a piece like that. You have other pieces that are very serious, but talk to me a little bit about those pieces where there's a lot of humor going on.
Yes. So when I went to Louisville, I noticed how much people love their horses. And so horses are like dogs in Louisville. Everybody loves them. And then the Derby is one of the most important events that we have. And so everywhere Louisville is recognized by the Derby. Mm-hmm. So when I started painting, I said, well, I like to connect with the city. So I started, like, for example, my first exhibition in Louisville was about Louis XVI because of the reference. And then it was also the Muhammad Ali. So I started including some symbols that were related to the city. And then at some point I said, well, it's time to paint horses, but I don't want to do it in the classical way, like the classical paintings like from 200 years ago, or also like the races. So I combine it with my style. And when I was studying at the Art Institute of Chicago, I was taking more classes in the fashion department than in the painting department. So I said, how can I make the horses to be with my fashion references? And then I was painting then wedding dresses from the 18th century, but then they were having like human bodies. But then the way I combined them, I think it didn't look like fake. It looks like they were just like that and they were having a good time. So, and I also, because during Derby, we have like people dress, they show their best dresses with the fascinators. So I also include them in my paintings. That was before COVID, and then when I painted those pieces, I made a whole series, and that's one of my favorite series, I think.
Well, great. I'm so happy to have him. Now, when you paint the more serious work too, now, and I should be able to say this title, and I can't think of the title, but there's a painting we ended up including in the exhibit that I believe was at Core Gallery. It's a Black woman with long hair in a period dress. I guess I don't know what that is. If it's an 18th century, kind of like going back to Louis. So, like, talk to me for a minute about that painting.
So so when I started painting, I remember my professor asked me to copy first the Renaissance artist, and he says, and I said, well, that's too difficult. And he said, yes, but once that you are able to make a copy of a classic master, everything is going to be easier for you. So I understood that after a couple of years, because it took me a while to be able to understand the techniques. But I noticed that in art history, most of the pieces are related to portraits. And so they're portraits of wealthy people who were the only one who could hire a famous artist, and then they were wearing their most exclusive dresses and pearls, and then they were in the best room in their palaces, and everything looks like a perfect life, but life is not that perfect. So it's like taking a selfie now that people post on Instagram a life that they don't have, just because we follow that trend because we want recognition. But then most of the portraits from the past, because it was like European wealthy, they were only for a very exclusive group of people, like the 1%. Right. So my goal with this series was to be able to depict everybody. It didn't matter the gender or the race or like the social status. So so my goal was, I started with Cubans. I went to Cuba and I was doing a series of photographs where I was meeting people in the streets, people from so many different backgrounds, and that was where my idea started. And then I also translate that in my paintings.
Well, great. You know, I hate to say it, we don't have very much time left, but just a couple of minutes, but I'd like to find out, like, so what else is happening? Do you have any shows opening in the next few months in Louisville or Lexington or Cincinnati, somewhere around our area?
Well, I have paintings in Lexington, in New Editions Gallery, and then at Core Gallery in Louisville, and then at Surfer Gallery also, and then at Wheelhouse Gallery. So I've been working with them for a while because they're good friends. And then, so I hope, I always said that when I work with the gallery is because I like to work with people that I love or I respect. I don't work with everybody. So, and those are very good friends, and I'm very glad that they keep trusting in my work. So people could see my work in those 4 locations.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully we'll see you soon in Louisville, and thank you for joining me today. I'm afraid we're out of time, but Carlos Gamez de Francisco, marvelous painter of many different kinds of subjects. Now, it's interesting to have watched you over time and to see how you explore these different areas, and you never stay still. You're always moving forward, which is what an artist has to do. So,
Thank you so much.
So congratulations. All right, thanks, Carlos.
Thank you.